security came in. He picked up my phone and said, "We're going to get to the bottom of this." He wasn't making any sense at the time. Understandably, just different. Nothing made sense. But he picked up my phone and was saying, I'm going to prove this. We're going to get to this. We're going to get to the proof of this. Something to that effect. I don't remember his exact words. And he pushed record on my phone. I didn't actually at the time think that he had done that. I had no idea, but I did know that I didn't have my phone when I woke up and went downstairs to get it. It was dead. It was sitting out on the dining room table by where Jerry Judge was sitting. Jerry Judge was on the phone and talked to me, and I went back up to bed, took more of this sedative, and fell asleep. And then I think the next day, went to the closet and took out the clothes that he hadn't painted on. I guess when he went back upstairs, he had it looked like what he had done is dip his hand in a bucket of paint and just wiped it on my clothes. And he had picked up another portion of my clothes and put them in the bathtub. And I don't know if he added paint or if he just had touched them with paint, but it was this ugly navy blue brown paint. I packed what was packable, hadn't been destroyed, and eventually left Australia with Ben King, who you met on the way there.
Let me stop you there because I want to ask you some more questions about those 3 days, and then we can talk about Ben King and going home. So, do you recall what bottle Mr. Depp was drinking from and then had that back and forth with you and you threw on the ground?
Objection, Your Honor. Compound leading.
Sustained.
Do you recall what the bottle was?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you recall whether it was wine or liquor?
It was liquor. The wine was upstairs.
Okay. Do you recall
Excuse me.
what color
Excuse me.
it was?
Well, I believe it was white, clear, but I can't be certain. I think it was clear.
Do you remember whether it had a handle on it or not?
No, it was a normal bottle. I remember because he was holding it like this and gestured to me to take it. And I did try to reach for the bottle. It was a normal size, but for life of me, I can't remember what brand.
Okay. When you woke up that third morning and came out of your room, what, if any, food did you see?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Objection, Your Honor. Leading.
Overruled.
There was mashed potatoes smeared all over the bedroom door, on the wall, in various places. But I remember opening the door and being really confused at first as to what it was. It had little specks of green in it, I assumed to be spinach. And throughout the house, there was food rubbed in places, just countertops, walls, doors, as I mentioned. And later that evening, I found the raw meat that I had left out, the steak, all over the house. There were pieces of it. It was cut up. And he had ripped my nightgown into pieces, into shreds, and wrapped the meat up, wrapped the steak pieces up with my nightgown. It was this really beautiful burgundy silk nightgown that had this black lace trim. I ironically got it from Dr. Kipper for a wedding gift. And it was wrapped. I found it. I continued to find it throughout the rest of the time that I was in the house in Australia. There was pieces of it in the microwave, pieces of it in the produce drawer, in the closet drawer. Just raw meat wrapped up in my nightgown, as well as the smeared food on the walls. It was bizarre.
What, if anything, do you recall seeing on any mirrors?
Oh, he had written on the bathroom mirrors in the bedroom, and I believe he had, there was another mirror. I just don't recall which bathroom it was in. I suppose it was the one that I went to, which is on the very bottom level, where I was retching, for lack of a better way to describe it. I think it was in that bathroom that he also wrote on that mirror as well.
What, if anything, do you recall?
In blood and paint, sorry.
I'm sorry. What, if anything, do you recall of any lampshades being written on?
Well, he wrote on messages to me, things to the effect of go-getter, horror sort of thing, like that sort of language. But calling me easy, calling me a slut, calling me, like just things about ego and what a whore I was. But it was hard to make sense of it because it was clear he was just out of his mind. It was, he wrote on a back of a pillow in blood. And you can tell because it dries like in this ugly brown color. He wrote on the walls going downstairs. Like it took in fact, you could see where it looked like he had run out of blood because the messages became, the markings became clearly letters. And the letters kind of became, like I could see where he had clearly run out of blood or it wasn't bleeding enough and went and got paint. And then it became paint and blood. You could see both. You could see where he went back with it. Same with the mirrors. I could see where all the dried blood was. And then I could see a different set of markings with paint and some other material.
So I'm going to go back to the time in the bar, and I know this is very painful. Do you recall what Mr. Depp was saying to you when he had the bottle and was pushing it against your pubic bone?
He said that he would fucking kill me. He said, I'll fucking kill you. He said it to me over and over again. He said, I'll fucking kill you.
Did you bleed from the vagina as well?
I did.
And did you experience any pain later?
I wasn't thinking about that. I was heartbroken. Eventually, I realized that I could be hurt because I was bleeding. But I convinced myself it wasn't broken and that the bottle wasn't broken or else it would be a lot worse. And the discomfort I was feeling afterwards just paled in comparison to how scared, shocked I was. I'm scared. I just married this man. I just married him.
And forgive me for asking this, but I need to just make sure the record's clear. You were penetrated up the vagina into the pubic bone, is that correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading.
Sustained.
What, if any, penetration was there in your vagina with the bottle?
I can't believe
I'm so sorry.
to do this.
I am so sorry.
Johnny had the bottle inside of me and was shoving it inside of me over and over again.
Did you experience any cuts on other parts of your body?
My forearms were cut. My bottoms of my feet were sliced up pretty good.
Did you have any other bruising or swelling?
I had a bruise across my jaw, I suppose, from the one of the many times he clocked me in the face downstairs. I think I just didn't make a record of anything else.
I'm going to ask you to turn to let's go to 1810. Well, actually, let's go to 1815. Michelle, if you can bring that up. Defendants 1815. And I think these are all in, Your Honor, so if we could publish.
Yes, they can all be published.
Is this the game table?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And is this, based on your testimony, is this where you were you on top of this table?
Yeah, that he briefly got on top of me and was pushing on my throat, actually, at some point when I was on the table. I had forgotten about that. And this, though, looks like it is after a lot of the stuff was cleaned up, because it didn't look quite like this.
Okay. And did the table collapse?
Yes, it did.
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Sustained.
What, if anything, happened to the table?
The table collapsed underneath me when Johnny threw me into it and got on top of me, or fell on top of me. I honestly don't know which one.
If we could look at 1816, please, defendants. Do you recognize this, what's depicted in this picture?
Yes.
What is it?
It looks like the bottles that were by Johnny on the desk when I came down that last morning, and he was still up, still drinking.
If we could go to defendants 1817.
The bottle shape. The bottle shape.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't, I have not.
Go back to 1816, please.
Your Honor,
I had
confused. Is there a question?
I'm going to ask a question.
What more do you recall?
You had, sorry, it took me a minute to respond because it's hard. It took me a minute to respond because I had not remembered seeing the bottle that Johnny was using on me. I didn't have a memory of seeing it. And this picture, I wasn't aware of until just the other day, yesterday, the day before. And I felt my stomach tighten up, like I was going to be sick when I saw it. Because even though I didn't remember seeing the bottle, what I had remembered is a pressure, like something square, which is why I thought he was punching me. I was feeling the square, something firm hitting me, like butting up against my pubic bone. Over and over again, I felt that pressure against my bone. It felt like a flat surface. But when I realized it was an object or a bottle and not his fist, which is what I thought, because his arm, I could see his arm while he was holding me down, saying he was going to kill me, but I thought it was, his arm looked like he was punching me. And I hadn't seen this bottle. I didn't know. And then this came out in Ben's evidence because he didn't share it until this date.
Objection, Your
until this
Honor.
trial.
Sustained.
And so I recognize it.
Okay. All right, now let's go to defendants 1817. Do you recognize this area or this picture?
Yes, it looks like one area of the bar. Obviously, this is sometime later because all the liquid is dried up. It was quite slippery. I was slipping all over that tile. That's how I know.
Okay.
Looks like a lot of the glass has been cleaned up almost.
Okay. And then let's go to 1818. Actually, I think
I'm
that's...
sorry, which?
Yeah,
which-
I don't have that
That's
number.
not in evidence.
Yeah, that's a duplicate. Let's go to 1819. My apologies.
Okay.
Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
What is this?
This is close to where my feet were when I was dangling off the counter. When he had me on the countertop by my neck, my feet were slipping on the tile, and I just remember my feet. I remember feeling glass underneath my feet and slipping. I couldn't get up. I couldn't alleviate the pressure on my neck as he was crushing me. That's around that, not around, that's next to that. All the way at the end of the picture is the bar where I was standing when he was throwing bottles at me.
Can we go to 1820? Do you recognize what's depicted here? The area.
Yes, that's to the left would be where the wall-mounted phone was. Right to the left of that. To the right of that is the little L-shaped bar that I was telling you about, where I was trapped. And
when you say to the left of the wall, what do you
sorry.
mean? Is it off the picture or on the picture?
so if you're looking at this picture, imagine up and to the left at person height, at site height, was I don't know if it was antique, but it kind of looked old-fashioned, like an old-fashioned heavy. What looked heavy, I didn't pick up the receiver, but it looked heavy when I was watching it break. You know, it looked like these like really heavy glass. Excuse me, it's really thick, heavy, not plastic, but like a Bakelite or something heavy material on it. That's my best guess. So that would have been to the left, and then to the right would have been the very end of the bar that you just saw a picture of.
All right, let's go to 1821, defendants. And do you recognize what's depicted in this photo?
Yes, that's the bar that I was just talking about.
Okay. Now, I see a phone on the right side. Is that the phone you were talking about?
No, that's not. This is a wall-mounted phone. That's just a landline.
And you see straight ahead at the very, if you look straight ahead at the picture, on the top part of that, it appears to be some broken glass. Do you recall, what do you recall of that?
I recall more than just this window being broken. This is one of the windows that he broke when he was throwing things at me. My body was standing in front of that little kitchen sink you see at the end of the picture. I suppose that's some of the glass I felt, though, on the backs of my arms, like when the window shattered.
Okay. Let's go to 1822.
1822, I don't have in evidence. 1822 is not in evidence.
That's exactly why I just went over here. Let's go to 1825, I think. Is that the next one, Your Honor?
1825 is in evidence. I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you recognize this picture?
Yes, that's where Johnny was standing when I found him the last morning. That morning, it might have been like midday. When I say morning, it was after I woke up. It was certainly not early morning. And he was standing at that desk, behind the desk, with the Manson blaring. When I found him and told him that I was going to call 911 if he didn't call Jerry.
If you look in this picture, there appears to be a lampshade down below. Do you recognize that lampshade down below the table?
That's one of the lampshades Johnny wrote threats or messages to me on.
Okay. Then let's go to 1827. Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do. That's my painting studio. So when I walked downstairs and saw all the blood on the walls, I walked into this room first. That's where the stairs empty into this room, kind of my painting area. And those are the canvases that he repainted.
And do you see, if you look by the white tablecloth table to the right of that, do you see a lampshade there?
Yes, I don't know if that's the same lampshade or another one.
Okay. Then let's go to 1828. And do you recognize what's in that one?
I do. Those are were my paintings. That I don't know when he did that, if it was before or after the writing on the walls, but he just ruined them.
So I just want to make sure. So the painting canvas that's dark colored, there's two of them there.
Well, there's two or three, and then there's a smaller one in the center, and that was his daughter. I was trying to paint a portrait of, and that was untouched.
Okay, and then but just so we're clear, the one directly in front of you that looks like it's just a lot of dark colors, was that dark colors before, or?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
I said, was that dark colors before?
I'll sustain the objection.
What, if any, change was there on that canvas?
Oh, I'm a terrible painter, but I'm not that bad. It was not my painting. It was the start of a portrait, and he changed it dramatically.
And then to the right side, on the other side of, more to the right than the one you already testified to, is that what that picture looked like before, or is that?
Objection, leading.
What, if any, changes were there to that picture?
Well, the three canvases were portraits, so they looked similar to the one that's in the center that I was doing of his daughter.
Okay. And the white that's below, what, if any, changes were there to that? The white canvas that you see there?
It just looks like the painting was, it looks like once he destroyed.
Objection calls for speculation.
All right. Sustain.
Was there anyone else in the house besides Mr. Depp and you?
Not that I know of, no, and no one was around.
Okay. Do you have any reason to believe somebody other than Mr. Depp did this?
Objection, leading.
Sustain.
What, if any, What, if any, reason do you believe that Mr. Depp did this?
Objection.
That was not, what, if any?
What's the objection?
Leading.
No, I'll overrule that objection.
Thank you.
It was just Johnny and I in that house over the course of those 3 days, roughly. There might have been somebody, his assistant or something, come on the first day or second day, I can't recall, but for the majority of for the entirety of what I've been describing to you, it was Johnny and I in that house.
And did you do any of this? Did you
No.
create any of this damage?
No.
I'm also going to take a look at the white tablecloth to the right there.
And also, Johnny was covered in paint, so.
Okay.
To answer your question fully, that's also how I know.
All right. So I'm also just going to draw your attention to that white tablecloth over there. Does it appear to have some paint on that as well?
Yes, there was paint all over the place, to say it plainly.
Now, the painting that you indicated, there was a large penis, I believe. Where was that?
I believe it was just, like if you're looking at this, I believe it was on the wall almost right next to the painting directly center that we're looking at. That's my best recollection, but I can't be entirely sure.
Okay. Let's go to 1828.
I think that was 1828.
Oh, 1829, my apologies. And do you recognize this photo?
Yes, I do.
What's in it? And what was this?
This is one of the lampshades that Johnny chose as a medium to leave me messages in blood and paint.
Okay. Let's go to 1830. Do you recognize this?
Yes, that's one of the bathroom mirrors.
Okay. And if you could just look to the left, and I'm going to go ahead and circle it over here. You see red and black there. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. And there were some questions that were asked earlier about that red. What, if anything, did you write on this mirror?
I didn't write anything on the mirrors. I was as confused as anyone in hearing that testimony.
Okay. And based on looking at this area that I have circled, is the black on top or underneath the red?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation. Leading.
I'll sustain the objection. All right, this might be a good time to take a break. Why don't we go ahead and take our afternoon break, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and have our break. Do not discuss the testimony with anybody, and don't do any outside research. We'll come back here. All right, in 15 minutes. All right, so we'll come back at 4:02. Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
All right.